The conquest of the end of the world. In the winter of 1911, two intrepid explorers embarked on an adventure that would challenge all limits of human endurance and determination. A Norwegian and a Briton ventured into the vast, icy expanse of the Antarctic continent with a shared goal but fierce competition: to reach the southernmost point of Earth for the first time, the South Pole. This epic race between Roald Amundsen and Robert Falcon Scott would become one of the most thrilling and tragic chapters in the history of polar exploration. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date with our updates. The idea of conquering the South Pole had been a dream that had obsessed explorers and adventurers for centuries. Antarctica, a vast continent covered in ice and snow, represented an immense challenge and one of the last unexplored frontiers on Earth. It was in 1909 when the Norwegian Roald Amundsen and the British Robert Falcon Scott publicly announced their plans to reach the South Pole, marking the beginning of a race that would capture the world's imagination. Roald Amundsen, an experienced Norwegian polar explorer, was known for his meticulous planning and pragmatic approach to expeditions. He had demonstrated his skill in handling dog sleds and had reached the North Pole in 1906 during an Arctic expedition. His decision to head for the South Pole was kept secret until the last moment, thus avoiding premature competition from other explorers. Amundsen chose dog sleds as his primary means of transportation, inspired by the skills of the native people of Greenland in handling these animals. Additionally, his strategy included selecting a starting point further north than Scott, which would allow him a shorter route to the pole. On the other hand, Robert Falcon Scott, a Royal Navy officer, led an expedition funded by the British government. Scott embodied the spirit of the Victorian era, focused not only on conquering the South Pole but also on conducting scientific and cartographic research in Antarctica. His expedition was equipped with a mix of dog sleds and ponies and relied heavily on British technology. Scott's expedition was well funded and supported, but his scientific focus and issues with the climate and lack of experience with dogs led to significant challenges on his route to the pole. On December 14, 1911, Roald Amundsen and his team reached the South Pole, marking a historic milestone. Using dogs as a means of transportation and following a carefully devised plan, they had overcome obstacles and achieved their goal in record time. The news of their success spread worldwide, becoming a source of pride for Norway and an example of planning and determination. Meanwhile, Robert Falcon Scott and his team reached the South Pole on January 17, 1912, only to discover that they had been surpassed by Amundsen. Sadness and disappointment filled their hearts as they faced an extremely challenging return journey. Scott and his men bravely battled adverse weather conditions, a lack of food, and extreme fatigue. Tragically, all members of Scott's expedition perished on the way back, marking one of the darkest episodes in the history of polar exploration. If you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to follow us on all our social networks, which will be here below in the description. Remember, history is the memory of time, and the warning of the future.